One, and go.
Hello and welcome to the weekly wrap with the USA Liberalists. We are your hosts. Today you're here with Cody and Jordan.
Hey.
And this week we will be talking about Elizabeth Warren and some other Democrats calling for Trump to be impeached. We're going to go over the tragic school shooting that happened in Colorado that seems to not be getting any attention, so we'll give it some attention as far as that's worth. We'll also be talking about how the contemptible Congress is holding the Attorney General in contempt. And we have a couple other stories, both out of Pennsylvania, that we'll get to if we have some time. But that's what we'll be covering.
Yep. I have all these stories available. And I think the first one we had was talking about the Colorado shooting, right?
Today, guys, we had some technical difficulties.
What's up?
But I think they're taken care of.
What?
What
Cody?
story are you putting up on the screen?
We can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, just making sure. All right, so the first story that we should be looking at is this police identify suspect in Colorado school shooting. I think you know more about this than I do.
Yeah, I read a few different articles about this. So basically, I think it's a charter school. It's called STEM School, I believe. STEM
Okay.
School Highlands Ranch in Douglas County, Colorado. This was May 7th. Two students went in and started shooting. Only one student was killed, heroically trying to fight back against the attackers, and 7 students were injured.
Damn.
So
Yeah.
this...
I didn't know it was
This
called a
didn't
STEM school, but yeah, other than that, I'm familiar with it.
This didn't get a lot of play because I didn't hear about it until another liberalist made a post on Facebook about it, basically to that effect, that why isn't anyone else talking about this? So I thought it would be good to look into because...
Yeah, it's kind of weird that because the media is normally all over school shootings.
Well, yeah.
They love that shit.
If it bleeds, it leads, right? But
Right?
the problem for the media with this school shooting is it doesn't fit their narrative.
Ah.
So the shooters, whose names will not be mentioned because that's something we try to do here.
CNN again? God damn it. Fucking Washington Times. Like, I'm reading through it right now and their names are plastered all over it.
Yeah, their names are all over all the articles, so we try not to say them, but if we slip up, we apologize. We'll get better at this. But one of the shooters was a male to female, or female to male, transgender.
Okay.
Both of them were pretty anti-Trump, at least on social media.
Okay.
And they didn't commit this crime with scary assault rifles. They did it with handguns. So the media doesn't care.
It's always weird because you would think if they really cared about gun violence and gun death and all that stuff, pistols would be like at the forefront. And this is something I've thought about for a long time, and I think I've got like at least a working theory, like why psychologically they care about the AR-15s and the AK-47s and the M1s and all that stuff, but they don't care about Glocks and, any 9mm pistol ever.
Like the handguns that I have in my house.
Yeah. And I think I sort of get what it is. I think it's more, it strikes closer to home. Whereas when you talk about people getting shot with pistols, let's be real, that's not something that anyone in any sort of liberal area is probably going to have to actually deal with. When you're talking about pistol wounds, pistol shots, pistol shootings, you're probably talking about a lower income neighborhood. Just keeping it real. That's just
Well,
the
what
way.
about like bigger cities though?
Well, I
Like
mean, sure, but even in
there's
big
a
cities.
lot of liberals that live there, but they live in like the nicer park,
Yeah, I was
gated
about to say,
community
like, I mean,
areas.
yeah, in the city there's gun crime, but like, there's a difference between living in the hipster neighborhood where there's a Starbucks every 30 feet and living in the middle of the ghetto. You know, you're still talking
Yeah.
about the same city, so the stats get lumped together, but the guy over in the fucking Starbucks multiplex isn't having to deal with gun crime, whereas the other guys are. So it doesn't strike close to home because they never see it. Whereas when it's like in a nice neighborhood and you've got a couple of kids that walk in with AR-15s, I think in their head that's like, oh my god, that could happen to me, that could happen to my kids. So magically it becomes important. Whereas you've got like these thousands upon thousands of dead bodies over here, but they're all poor people, so I guess they don't care. Frankly, it's really disgusting, really, when you start breaking it down by who's actually getting shot and who's actually dying and who the media cares about. It's fucked up. It's really fucked up.
Well, it's I'm a big, and we'll see. Like in this story too, they talk about this that it's not the guns are inanimate objects.
Right.
Guns aren't the problem. It's the people wielding the guns and like why do they feel like they have to do this and these kids, I don't know, they didn't have like a criminal past. Well, I mean, one is an adult. He's over eight. He's 18, and the other one was a minor. Also, another reason why we won't say their name.
Right. Yeah, minors.
But
I don't care if they did murder somebody. I mean, I do care if they murdered somebody, but regardless,
right.
I'm not going to say their name. But if there's a problem, let the authorities deal with it. Otherwise, I'm out of it.
Yeah, and they've got these guys, these two people in custody.
Right.
On their Twitter, they wrote the minor suspect tweeted angrily about the STEM students
Okay.
and their mom. Apparently, they didn't like. They wrote in January. They wrote "fuck STEM kids." I swear to fucking God. And then in April, they wrote on Twitter, "When you're putting yourself in life-threatening danger," but they don't explain what the danger was. They just added a kiss emoji. These guns were obtained illegally, essentially, by the kids.
Shocking.
Because they stole them from their parents, but the parents obtained them legally.
Yeah.
So the school has kindergarten through 12th grade, and they were in like the high school area of the school.
Huh.
And the student who died, Kendrick Castillo, he died rushing at one of the shooters and allowed some of the other kids to escape. And so the kids who survived are calling him a hero, which rightfully they should.
Yeah.
Because he is.
That sounds about right, yeah.
So, yeah, it's sad every time that you hear about this. But they were talking to some of the students, and one of the friends of the shooters said that they didn't do this because he's liberal or to make a statement. He did it due to internal struggles. They're both struggling with mental health issues, and this is a time for awareness. The shooter did not do this because he's trans, but had people supported him in ways he needed and deserved, he would not have struggled so much that he got pushed over the edge. So they're trying to, I mean, these kids know better than I do. Like, I don't mean to say, oh yeah, they did it because they're liberal, because I don't like it. I don't like applying guilt to a group of people for the actions of a few.
It's fair.
It's not my jam.
That's right.
It's tempting. I understand it, because the media always does the thing where, oh, he's right wing. They don't, he's a Republican or something, but they don't ever place the blame on like the shooter at the Congress baseball practice was a Bernie bro.
Yeah, he was a Bernie bro.
But nobody says, oh, the language or the rhetoric from Bernie Sanders inspired this shooter, but it's always Donald Trump inspires these sorts of things to happen. That's what we hear from.
By the way, complete side note, can I just point out that originally the whole Bernie bro thing was supposed to be a derogatory thing? And now it's just it's like been adopted. They're just like, this actually does kind of describe us. No, this is fine. This is
so was deplorables.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I just think it's funny going back, because that was, at least at the time, that was sort of an example of the left going after its own, and it just didn't work. Like, just nothing happened. I just thought it was funny. But
that's what you got to do. Like, if someone gives you like a ridiculous nickname, you just roll with it. Mm-hmm. You just take it on and make it your own. Or you just ignore it, and then no one's like believes it.
Right.
You don't get all mad about it, because then people just like
Barr.
think that's funny. Chicken Barr.
Dude, the dude that came up with that, God, I love you. You're so fucking old, but god damn. Thank you for that. That was a good laugh. That was a good belly laugh.
Yeah, there was also a
didn't like Democratic
vigil.
Senators? Yeah.
They held a vigil for what's his name? Kendrick Castillo. They held a vigil for him. What was this? Like Thursday, I believe.
Okay.
Earlier this week, they held a vigil, and when the Democratic representatives came to speak, man, I have this story somewhere. I can't find it right now.
Yeah, the article that we have here is very short and just doesn't talk about it. It's very straight and to the point.
Oh, here it's
which I normally
the
appreciate, but yeah.
USA Today article. They held a vigil for the victims, and then when Democrat Jason Crow and Michael Bennett started making remarks attempting to politicize the tragedy, making it about gun control, the students walked out. Like, a lot of them walked out, and they started yelling at the media and chanted mental health. Mm-hmm. They said that they don't want their grief to be used for political purposes. And good on them, Good on those kids.
Yeah. No, I'm actually pretty impressed that a bunch of kids had the wherewithal to realize that they're being manipulated. It's pretty rare. Like you remember the whole David Hogg thing where that kid clearly bought the bullshit hook, line, and sinker that he needs the Democrats' help, and now he's going to go out there and push the Democratic agenda, and he's going to make a huge change in the world. And where's he now? No one cares.
Well, he got into Harvard because of that.
Oh, fair enough.
Essentially,
fair enough. Like, I'm not saying he didn't benefit off of it, but I honestly don't think David Hogg went into that looking for, an advancement. I think he actually was well intentioned, but he did get manipulated by the Democrats. So
I don't think he was well intentioned.
You don't?
I think
I
think he was looking for his 15 minutes.
He might have been.
Personally.
He might have been. But I mean, we're talking about a kid, so I'm willing to give him most of the benefit of the doubt. We are talking about someone that, like, he may not have been involved directly in the shooting, but that kind of thing really can scare the shit out of people,
Yeah. I don't know. With him, it just seems like he was overly eager, like, to politicize it. And so I didn't feel like he was genuine.
Who knows?
Right.
But
he'll say that he was till he's blue in the face. But
right.
I just don't believe him. That's just me. Him and the other kids, man. I think they just wanted to be on TV and thought that they were already in this ideology, and maybe their parents were like, "Oh yeah, you need to do this. This is your chance to like push these things." And
I mean, at the end of the day, we're never really going to know. I personally think he at least went into it with good intentions. Maybe he fucked up somewhere along the way, but who knows? At the end of the day, it really is just who the fuck knows.
Well, he is just a kid.
Yeah.
Well, sort of. He's like 18 now, I think, but.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about like right after this
dumb
happened.
Kid.
Yeah.
And he can be manipulated, which is why I'm like, I don't friggin' care. I don't want 16-year-olds to vote. I don't care what you have to say, little kid.
Yeah, I'm barely okay
about
with
political stuff. Anyway.
I'm barely okay with 18-year-olds voting. But
right, if they can go into the army, though, I think they should be able to vote.
If they go into the army, I'm totally okay with them voting. Everybody else needs to wait until they're 24, as far as I'm concerned. But whatever.
But yeah, this shooting didn't get a lot of play on the national media or anything. Like, I didn't hear about it until somebody essentially told me. There wasn't a lot else to report on this. I haven't seen anything come out of it. Like, the biggest thing was that Kendrick Castillo heroicism, his heroic act of protecting his classmates, and I'm
glad his classmates really appreciate that. Kendrick was a hero, that he really stood up for them. Because I know a lot of kids, at least when I was growing up, maybe they've gotten smarter, maybe they've gotten dumber, who the fuck knows. But I don't know if they would have fully appreciated that, that he really did put himself out there, and it cost him his life. So, yeah, good for him.
Yeah, and it's sad, and you don't want this stuff to happen, but at the same time, I don't think the answer is to politicize it or to try to take away people's guns or use it as a platform to run for the presidency or for political office. It's just a tragedy, and I think it needs to be addressed, but I don't think anybody's trying to address it because they're more interested in their political campaign than actually solving problems.
Yeah. I honestly, if I felt like the people that were trying to address the gun problem at least understood guns, I'd be more receptive, but I've been on that side, and I'm fully aware that most of the people we're talking about on the other side of things, half the reason they want guns gone is because they're scared of guns in general. It's not a policy thing. It's not, I think that we're going to lower gun crime by this percentage over the next 10 years. It's guns are scary and I want them gone. So yeah, I don't trust them with those policies.
Yeah. And guns are scary, but
yeah, that's the point.
Right.
Yeah,
that's part of the point.
That's as far as I'm concerned, that's most of the point. Because I'm totally happy letting people that I know be aware that, yes, I do have a shotgun, and yes, if you break into my home, I am using it. And no, I'm not apologizing.
I wish I had a shotgun.
It's great. It's like it's a semi-automatic with 4 rounds. It's fucking awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. In case I miss,
Well, yeah.
In case the fucking scatter shot somehow misses.
I got a Ruger 9mm.
Oh, yeah?
It holds 15 rounds, so
dope.
I can miss a couple times.
You can miss a couple times.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and get my concealed carry at some point.
You should go for full badass and get dual Desert Eagles.
I fired one before, man. There's something. They got a lot of kick to them, man. They got a lot of kick, and yeah, I mean it was a lot of fun, but
they're about as dangerous to the user as they are to the fucking recipient.
Well, I don't know that I could accurately fire them with one in each hand. I'd have to start working out.
You're not gonna dual wield a 1D. You're not gonna deagle the bad guys.
No, it'd probably be easier to dual wield AK-47s or AR-15s or something.
Well, yeah, at least with rifles you could shoulder it, so it probably wouldn't be very accurate, but you could do it.
It would just look really cool.
I'm trying to imagine someone with their arms wrapped around to get the guns in their shoulders. The image in my head does not look cool. It looks dumb as fuck.
Just you wait. No.
You leave a really shitty turret in my head.
That's badass. But some of the solutions, I think there was an article, I don't remember when it was written, but it was something like arming teachers will kill black students was the article headline, and I was like, I'm not even reading this. I'm not even giving this a click.
Yeah, no, seriously, don't.
Screw that.
That's the kind of thing that's just fucking... Like, there's so many assumptions laid in there. The most important one is there's like a subset of teachers that just would desperately want an excuse to kill their black students. If only they had a gun. If only they had a gun, they would go through with their long-standing fantasy of killing all their black students. Like, no, dude. They don't have to fucking work at that. Like, working at schools kind of sucks in general. You don't get paid very much. You get, like, zero funding. Half the shit in the classroom you had to buy your goddamn self. And, again, you don't get paid very much in the first place. Like, and this...
And the really parents are mad at you.
Yeah, it very rarely matters which school you're teaching at, right? Like, so, if you're working in in an area where you would presumably... Because, I'm sorry. If you're working in, like, a really nice school where all of your black students are coming in, like, with fucking button-downs and ties, something tells me there's approximately a 0.0% chance of you actively going after your black students because you've got a problem with them. And if you're, like, in some inner-city school where there's a lot of black students and they're not doing so hot because they live in a bad neighborhood, you know, same for the poor white neighborhoods, but just... If we're talking about like an inner city school where a lot of this, you know, you'd be concerned about this sort of thing happening, they wouldn't be there if they hated black people. They'd be working at a different school. They're there because they intend to be at that school helping out. That's why they're there. Seriously.
Well, I've heard this. It was, oh gosh, what was this? This was 5 or 6 years ago that I heard a similar argument from somebody who's very progressive-y, liberal-y type.
Sure.
When I suggested, well, why don't we arm teachers, arm students? Yeah, let's just arm
God.
everybody.
No, please don't give 16-year-old boys pistols. Jesus Christ.
No, do not do that. Well, no.
No, the teachers
don't just give it to them. I did see something though too that
just drop them out of hot air balloons. You get a gun, and you get a gun, and you get a gun.
Mandatory gun ownership for everybody.
I mean, no. Not the worst idea. I'm down.
Well, I did see, but anyway, let me get back to my original point. It was I had suggested arming teachers, and they said they were a teacher for special needs. They're a special needs teacher.
Oh my God! If we arm the teachers, they're going to kill the
special needs students. She said that. She's like, teachers are just going to start shooting students, and I'm like, what? Like, it was just like the most absurd thing to me to think that teachers will. The only reason teachers aren't shooting students currently is because they can't get a gun and shoot them. Like, they totally could.
Yeah, I was about to say.
They could totally have access to the building, and it's not illegal for them to purchase firearms. So it was just so silly to me, but it seemed to like take off. And I was like, that's so ridiculous. And she's like, oh, I know some teachers. I'm like, you should be reporting these teachers immediately because they're probably bad teachers if they've talked to you about their fantasies of shooting their students.
Yeah, no, those are people that need to be reported like immediately.
Right.
Like, no, seriously, like, I don't care, gun, no gun, just no, dude. You can't have teachers that want to kill their students, all right? Not seriously. It's one thing to go in the break room and be like, I'm tired of these little shits, but...
Right, I can understand being frustrated at your students,
right.
And then maybe even having those thoughts, but then not, like, saying them proudly or, like, talking about them out loud to other people, other teachers, like maybe to your therapist, because you should probably have a therapist.
Dude, I probably wouldn't even be concerned. Like, if they're mad, they're probably just venting. I wouldn't really be concerned until you get to like the one guy that just looks at you calmly. It's like, yeah, I want to kill my students. No, that guy I'm scared of. All right, that guy. There's a serious problem. But
scared of the quiet.
No, scared of the guy that's like calm and saying that sort of thing. You know, like he's thought it through. This is like his actual opinion, as opposed to the guy that's like, oh my God, these pieces of shit, gonna fucking take all of them out behind the shed. Blah.
Well, I also saw an article because I was looking this story up, so I guess all these articles came up because the internet works that way.
Right.
That said something like gun clubs or like gun classes are on the rise in schools or something like that.
Good.
I'm like, that sounds badass. Like, why don't we do that? Because then these shooters will know, well, wait a minute. They've got like a class that you could take for shooting guns. So they have guns there and probably at least a half a dozen people who know how to use them properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pick a different school. Might be a little bit of a deterrent.
In my experience, it seems like most shooters, A, are looking to scare everyone, B, want to target their own schools. So it does seem like it would be a fairly effective deterrent for any potential shooter to go into it knowing there's probably someone in this school that's better with a gun than I am. There's most likely.
If they go to that school or they went to that school and they knew there were people there with guns who are responsible and all that good stuff. And I can see the argument against it already is that you're just putting guns in school and the students are just going to go into the class and get the guns and start shooting. It's like, no, like,
dude, these kids aren't fucking psychos.
We used to have classes like this. Like, what's to stop them from just going to shop class and putting somebody's head in a saw?
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, right, adults in the room, or, that's just a bad idea.
Oh, God, we need to get rid of, like, the welding classes. What if they take, like, an acetylene torch and start lighting all the girls' hair on fire? Oh, my God.
Right.
How about most of these kids aren't fucking psychotic, and the ones that are, there's a reason that adults, like you said, there's a reason that adults are here. There's a reason. It's a pretty good one, too.
Well, and you could keep all the weapons, just like I'm sure they do in shop class. You could number all of them, put them behind a cage, like a locked cage.
Yeah. Have a gun cage.
Only give like a code to the teacher, so they don't even need a key, so they can't steal a key. And they have to sign them out and then sign them back in every time. And if any of them are missing, then you lock the school down until you find it.
Yeah.
And you keep track of I mean, it's totally 100% doable, but,
well, I mean,
that's crazy talk, apparently. Giving kids weapons. We want them to vote, but you can't give them weapons.
Well, I'm trying to imagine, like, how they think this would actually look in real terms if we armed the teachers. Because I think what they're thinking is it's just going to be, like, fucking teachers running, like, just walking through the halls with Uzis.
Fucking Rambo teachers just running around.
Just Uzi.
No shirts on.
Fucking.
Just AR-15s on their back.
Fucking regress. They just take off their shirts, start putting on teardrop tattoos, shove the Uzi in the back of the pants.
If a teacher walks in with an AR-15 on their back, those students aren't mouthing off. They're paying attention.
No, dude, just there'll be a gun crate. Fucking put it in there, have like either an electronic lock or like a combination lock or something, right? Just something so that they know where it's at. And if anyone goes in the room and the fucking gun isn't there and no one seems to know why, yeah, alarm. Fucking someone has a gun, let's fix it.
Well, they even have, like, when I went to the last gun show I went to, they have these, they just look like regular pictures.
Sure.
Like a pastoral setting or something. And you move this, it looks like a little bird, but it's like a magnet. You move the magnet in the right spot, and it opens up, and you can open it, and your gun's in there.
Okay, now we're talking about budgets that schools absolutely don't have. But
they're like $100.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're not like super crazy expensive.
Wouldn't you have to like install that into the wall though?
Well, yeah, but think about all the other shit they waste a bunch of money on.
I mean, sure. But
I talked to a guy who said that he was a bus driver and that the school spent like $150 replacing a light bulb on the bus. A light bulb on the bus that you can get from Home Depot or you can get from an auto parts store for like $3.
I suppose it is true that the gun crates would probably cost more than $100 typically. So if there's like a cheap alternative, all right. I'm willing to listen, but
well, and you can put it in there and people wouldn't even know what it was.
right.
It's not like, oh, this is the gun crate. It's like there's 8 pictures on the wall and one of them has a gun in it. But I mean, it just hides it from. You see somebody go at the pictures. They're trying to get the gun. It gives you more time to respond.
True. It's not like they know the specific. Maybe just have like 1 or 2 magnets that have to be in the right spot.
Yeah,
I would say at least 2 just in case. But
we'll give one to the principal and one to the teacher.
no, what I'm saying is like instead of just being like placing 1 magnet in the right spot, make it so you place 2 magnets so that in case there's like a kid that just is like playing around with the picture for what he realizes it's magnetized and he's like playing around so he doesn't accidentally just open up the gun safe. There's a reason combination locks.
Be a bad idea.
There's a reason combination locks have more than 1 tumbler.
Right. Yeah, we can hammer the idea out a little later and present it to the president when we go see him later.
Yeah, when I go talk to President Trump, we're gonna present this idea. I think it's a winner. I think we've got this.
Well, as soon as we both get elected to Congress, we can push it through.
Exactly. We're gonna make it mandatory. We're going to make this taxpayer funded. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be the best.
How much fun would it be to be in Congress with Alexandria Occasional-Cortex?
Dude, are you kidding me? If I was in Congress with AOC at the same time, I would come in every time I know she's going to be there, just completely stoned out of my mind and just intentionally go talk to her.
Dude, that'd be the best. I'd film it. It'd be great.
Fucking
we should
Congress shit posters. We just walk up. Whoa, it's AOC, man.
We're gonna start the shit poster party.
I heard that you
that would be
danced that. Oh yeah, I saw that video. It was pretty good actually. You were looking pretty good. What are you doing later, Alexandria? Yeah.
No. Speaking of
got them crazy
Congress,
eyes. I like it.
I came up with the phrase "contemptible Congress."
Good.
I'm attempting to transition here.
Oh, students. Oh, this is the same story.
The Judiciary Committee held a vote to hold Attorney General William Barr in contempt.
Do I have that story? I don't think I have that
that's
story.
That's the one.
Is it a video?
The students walking out. Yeah, there's a video attached to that one.
Huh, okay. Well, I've got Pelosi. Hold on, let me see if I can find it in Facebook real quick. Thankfully, my setup allows me to do that without revealing everything. Without revealing all my secrets.
Well, ha ha ha. Anyway, I believe they voted to hold him in contempt, is what I heard.
Oh my god, they're fucking stupid.
So they're basically
they just want to lose. Is that what's happening? Like I'm beginning to think the Democrats just want to lose.
They're basically trying. They want to hold him in contempt because he won't give them the 100% unredacted Mueller report. Now, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to read this thing. I got like 11 pages in, and I'm like, this is so fucking boring, and we already know all this stuff.
Oh, no, this is just like a... Oh, no, this Pelosi story is the right one. Okay.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, AP.
Why don't you know this?
That's right. No, that's the right one. I had to look at it.
Cody.
Sorry. Well, I did this like friggin' 2 days ago. Or yesterday.
Fair enough.
Whatever. So we also have one from the Daily Wire too, which has way more information than the other one. But they went on to hold Attorney General Barr in contempt of Congress for not revealing 100% of the Mueller report. And even Mueller said that, like, he worked with Attorney General Barr on redacting what needed to be redacted, and he was fine with what was redacted. The only problem Mueller had, essentially, was that some people on his team didn't like how it was being played out in the media.
and that's just not their business. So
they didn't really like. Well, yeah, Attorney General Barr's like, that's not my. I'm not here to play media games.
Yeah,
I'm just here to report the facts.
I mean, anyone that's like, well, Barr's clearly biased. It's like, maybe, he was hired by President Trump, so I guess fair enough. But I don't know. It feels like a major stretch. I feel like it's a major stretch that he's biased in general. I don't know. I don't know enough about Barr, but I do know that Mueller clearly does not like Trump, and he looked at Barr's report and he looked at Barr's redactions and didn't say shit. So what are we talking about?
Right. Mueller could have easily recommended charges of not collusion, because that's pretty much non-existent. But he could have recommended obstruction of justice charges.
Yeah, he could have. He couldn't even recommend that.
He didn't. He pussied out, I guess. It's not chicken Barr, it's chicken Mueller.
Yeah, trying to talk out both sides of his face. Oh, well, this doesn't exonerate the president. And I'm like,
right.
Okay.
It doesn't exonerate him, but there's not enough to find him guilty. And it's
I guess by this
innocent
fucking
until
standard,
proven guilty, so.
I guess by this standard, I'm not exonerated either from murdering Bill Clinton. Prove I didn't do it.
Well, he hasn't been murdered yet.
Well, as far as you know.
As far as I know.
As far as how do you know Bill Clinton isn't like a body double? It's not like Hillary gives a shit about Bill.
Well, I would immediately suspect Hillary first. So.
Fucking, we immediately have a tweet that pops up. I have information leading to the arrest of my wife. Hillary's like, oh, hell no.
Yep. Suicide. 2 bullets to the back of the head. That's how I'm going to commit suicide. Not. Don't do that, kids.
Fucking shows up with a suicide report, is boiled in a fucking vat of acid and dumped into the Atlantic. He committed suicide. Fucking Hillary.
Basically, this is according to the Daily Wire, so there's some bias here for sure. Mm-hmm. But they're pretty good on their facts, as far as I can tell. That they said that the House and the Senate, they have access to 99.9% unredacted version in a secure room on Capitol Hill. So it's been made available to these congressmen who are now holding Attorney General Barr in contempt because he won't release 100% of the Mueller report to them. But there's a secured room on Capitol Hill where they can go and look at the 99.9%. So this is how much of it that is redacted that is available to them. There's 2 full lines and 4 partial lines, 2 of which are in footnotes that are concealed. That's all that's concealed to these members of Congress. But apparently that's not enough. Those 2 full lines and the 4 partial lines, 2 of which are footnotes, apparently they hold the great secret that'll indict President Trump and get him kicked out of office.
I guarantee you, like, the partial redactions, that's probably shit like names, right?
Right.
That's like names.
Names of people unrelated.
Right, that are just totally unrelated, that Mueller and Barr are both trying to be like, look, these guys literally have nothing to do with this. We're just going to leave them out of it.
Right. They have a legal and a moral obligation not to produce those names.
Unless they're planning on fucking subpoenaing anyone ever to do with this investigation in any capacity. There's no reason to have these names. So the only interesting thing, even potentially interesting left are the 2 full lines. So I'm just like, do you really think that the fucking evidence that you need to blow this whole thing out of the water is left behind a redacted wall of 2 lines that Mueller just is like, I could get Trump impeached right now, but it would be so much work. I mean, I'd have to, like, take an eraser to this. Maybe next week. Let me see how I feel about it. Anyone got toaster strudel? I'm feeling really hungry right now. Like, what the fuck do they think is happening? Because seriously, Mueller's on their side. He is on their side. What do they want? Jesus Christ.
Well, they even, I heard about this today, so I'm trying to find a story, but they they issued a subpoena for Trump Jr., Donald Trump Jr.,
Sure.
and one of the senators, I'm trying to find out who right now. I don't know. It says, Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut, I believe, CT,
Okay.
Democrat from Connecticut. He said that if he defies the subpoena, that they should throw Donald Trump Jr. in prison.
What the fuck? Wait, hold on.
Yeah, it says if he refuses, it says the subpoena should be enforced. He's quoting Richard Blumenthal. This is according to the National Memo.
To
The
clarify,
subpoena should be enforced. Yeah, go ahead.
The subpoena against Barr?
No, they issued a subpoena for Donald Trump Jr. too.
Oh.
This came out today.
I mean, I guess he should probably show up, but, like, how many times are they going to... Because haven't they already subpoenaed him?
I don't know. I think he did give testimony.
Maybe it wasn't a formal subpoena, but...
At this point, I would just straight up refuse. I would make them arrest me personally, because...
Yeah.
I mean, how good is that going to look going into the election in 2020?
Yeah, the Democrats arresting their political opponents.
Right. So, Richard Blumenthal of, oh yeah, I was in that war. Actually, he really wasn't in that war fame. He said the subpoena should be enforced. If he refuses to obey it, he should be locked up.
Should be or will be?
He said he should be locked up.
Huh.
So he's essentially calling for the arrest of the children of his political opponents, essentially.
Yeah,
this
seriously.
is the president's son. So the Senate Intelligence Committee subpoenaed Trump Jr. in order to clear up testimony Trump Jr. previously gave the committee that has since been contradicted by former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen. So this is the Senate. It says the GOP runs Senate, so maybe there's a few Republicans that don't really like Trump either.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Trump is pretty abrasive.
Yeah, there's some never Trumpers in there. Anyway. But yeah, it's all kind of tied into the same thing. I don't think he should be above the law. I don't think Trump should be above the law either. No. But I think at this point, they're not really interested in enforcing the law. I think they're just interested in playing these stupid political games
that make everyone look really bad. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Really
I don't feel.
it.
Yeah, I don't feel like anybody comes out of these sorts of games looking good. But if nothing's coming of it, typically the guy that didn't do shit looks a lot better coming out of it if he was arrested. So yeah.
Right. And I don't know what was contradictory about his report or whatever, or his testimony, but I guess we'll have to wait and see how things unfold there. But it just feels like the Democrats are abusing their subpoena power. And I'm always kind of weary. I don't care which party it is. I don't like them abusing essentially the authority that they've been given.
At least
I don't like it.
At least not this fucking blatantly. Like, this is just ridiculous.
Well, yeah, it's not about running the country or helping America or helping the citizens or fulfilling your constitutional duty. It's how can I get elected so that I can use the powers granted to me through the election in order to harm my political opponents.
Yeah,
so that I can thus gain additional power.
This isn't like a partisan thing for me. I'm actually not necessarily anti-Democrat. The most interesting candidate for me going into 2020 is actually Tulsi Gabbard, with like Yang as a close second. So,
go Trump, MAGA all the way, baby.
Yeah, Cody disagrees. That's fine, but my point is like this isn't coming from a place of I just hate the Democrats. It's like they're acting like idiots. And someone needs to look at the
Right.
Democrats and be like, guys, fucking stop. Please. Stop making me look like an idiot for not just saying you're a bunch of fucking retards.
Well, okay. I know we said we are going to try to stay more on topic,
We're
but I'm
terrible at
gonna
that.
ask you a question that's sort of aligns with this topic.
Okay, alright.
How ready do you think the American people are for a third party? I know there's the Libertarian Party, but they're infested with ANCAPs, and so they're never really going to get anywhere because nobody likes anarchists.
Yeah.
They're just annoying as hell.
Honestly, I think there's a certain prerequisite that's going to have to be associated with it before the country's going to be ready for a third party. Because when we say ready for a third party, I think what that actually really means is that there's actually enough votes. Because right now, we're dealing with huge portions of the electorate, or the voter base, being dyed-in-the-wool red or blue. Like, if you put an R in front of your name, you will get votes from these people. If you get D in front of your name, you will get votes from these people. It does not matter, right? So,
Yeah, they have party loyalty.
Right, there's very strong party loyalty with huge sections of the voter base. And there's a massive section that just doesn't vote. So the only way I see for a third party to really make any inroads is to talk to the non-traditional voting bases and convince them to vote. That's the only way. That's really the only way.
Well, I think that there's more, like in my opinion, I mean, this might just be colored because of the state I live in, but
Sure.
I think that there's more people on the Democrat side who they don't pay attention to politics, but they just exclusively vote Democrat because the Democrats are the good guys to them. That's what that means. Democrats are good guys. Republicans are evil, racist bigots who want to tell women what to do with their bodies, don't think brown people should be here. Like, that's their opinion. And the Republicans, at least in my opinion, have allowed that bad PR to kind of happen. They allowed themselves to be called those things.
I think the numbers don't necessarily bear that one out. Because back when I was like a hardcore progressive, there was a specific statistic that always came up. It was the idea of voter turnout. Because that voter turnout is incredibly important for the Democrats. It's less important for the Republicans. Because a low voter turnout tends to favor Republicans because Republican voters are much more consistent as far as like actually going to the polls and consistently voting Republican. Like the Republican base is very reliable.
Yeah, it comes with being conservative. You show up to shit.
Yeah. Well, my point is, like, the Democratic voting base is much more fickle, and if they don't like you, they're just not showing up. So, there definitely is a contingent of the Democratic base that is, if it's a Democrat, I'm voting for it, and they're reliable, right? It seems like that section is smaller than the Republican section. Because that's specifically who I'm talking about, is the dyed-in-the-wool, does show up, does vote, and always votes for their party, right?
Well, I would probably agree with you, but I do know that there are a lot of, and again, this might just be my bias from where I live and everything, but I do know there are a lot of Republicans who just won't show up if a candidate that is a Republican is wrong, in their opinion, on one issue. They just won't vote. They won't vote for the Democrat because that's beneath them. But that's even worse.
I didn't say there weren't plenty of Republicans that aren't fickle that way, but it seems to be, because of the way the voter turnouts affect elections, it seems like the Republican section that will just
vote.
I
would agree.
It seems to be that the section of Republicans that will show up no matter what seems to be larger. That's my take on the statistics. I could be wrong. I could be reading them wrong, because that's sort of an inherent problem with statistics in the first place. But that's what it looks like to me.
But like, don't you think there's enough people who are mostly like disenchanted? I think there's a lot of Democrats who are disenchanted with the Democratic Party, especially the way that it's going. if it continues to go towards the AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib types,
I think
that they're going to be looking for something else, and they're not going to like the Republicans unless the Republicans like actively try to woo these people.
I honestly think the Republicans should be going for minority votes, because when you think about minority communities, like I'm trying to think of any major minority community that, like policy wise, isn't just blatantly conservative.
Right.
Like
I agree 100%.
The Indians, they're more conservative than the like most hardcore evangelicals are here. Those guys are fucking conservative. Like,
well, that's what I was talking about. How the Republicans have this bad reputation of being the racists.
Yeah, like they need to find a way to shake that, because like the Hispanics, very conservative. The black community is very conservative. Like when you start breaking it down by policy, by issue, and start going, okay, would you support this policy, this policy, this policy, and you talk to minority communities, for the most part, the only reason they're voting Democrat is because they have the impression that voting Republican is voting against their own interests because of their identity, not because of the policies.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of Republicans believe that minorities, maybe not a lot, but there's definitely the strain of thought in the Republican Party that minorities only vote for Democrats because they give them free shit.
I think it has a lot more to do with the impression they have of Republicans.
Right. I think it's a lot of PR. It's a lot of image issue. They need a rebrand. They need rebranding.
I think it's sort of like a 1-2 punch where it leads in with them having a bad taste for Republicans because of the PR and because, Republicans do occasionally say some crazy shit.
Right. Well, both parties do.
They do.
They do. Racists and anti-Semites in both parties.
I mean, true.
It's just the media paints that as the common Republican, but it's the outlier in the Democratic Party, or it's just Republicans pouncing.
But what I'm saying, the reason I'm calling it the 1-2 punch is because you have that, which I think for most of them would be the lighter punch. That's just the jab. And then you come in on the back end where Democrats will come in and say, so we're not the racists like those guys. By the way, if you vote for us, here's all the interesting like help programs that we're going to give to you to help out your communities and try and rebuild your infrastructure and rebuild your schools. And it's not that they're like trying to get free stuff from the Democrats, I think. It's more like they've got actual issues. They think the Republicans are racist, and they think the Democrats are trying to help. So they're being sold a bill of bullshit. They're being sold a bill of bullshit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that they bought it, and it's bearing fruit. But I think most of them still at least think that the Democrats are really trying to help, so they keep voting that way.
Well, and I think the Republicans, like at least for me, I know it took me a while to come around to the idea that you need not necessarily to pander to these people, but you need to speak directly to them. Because to me, that just felt like, why am I talking directly? Like, why would I talk to directly black people? I'm talking to all people. But I understand that people in the black community don't feel like if you're talking to all people, you're talking to them.
Right.
You need to specifically talk to a certain segment. I mean, there are people who get that. There are people who understand that from all communities. But I do think that the Republican, I mean, it's just...
I think the Republicans need to make a special effort to reach out to these minority communities, talk to community leaders, talk to the mayors, talk to black representatives, talk to these people.
I don't want them to fall into the trap of playing identity politics.
No, I'm not saying
part of politics is going to be identity. That's part of politics.
Sure.
But I don't want to, because you do have some people that try to do that, but people just fall into this. That's what happened to the Democratic Party, is that they spoke to these people and then they realized, well, this works, and then they start playing identity politics. Like, I don't want both parties to start doing that, because I think that's a bad thing.
No, I don't want them to start doing identity politics. What I want them to do is to go into these communities, make it clear that, this particular Republican representative does not have a problem with black people, doesn't have a problem with minorities. He's listening to the issues of this region, and he's trying to work with these community leaders to find real solutions, right? And come up with some sort of plan that actually addresses it from a conservative perspective. Like, how do we address the poverty issues in these areas? How do we get more investment into these areas? How do we build up business? How do we get, banks to move into these areas so that you're not having to go to fucking lending brokers, right? How do we get grocery stores in these areas that are willing to stay so that you don't have to, feed your kids from the 7-Eleven? There are things that they could go into these communities and actually make a real difference on, because I think when it comes to economics, Republicans tend to do a bit better. When it's good capitalism works. Corporatism doesn't work. Socialism doesn't work. Good capitalism, not necessarily free market, but good capitalism works.
They could go in and be like, look, we want to reduce business taxes so that companies like, I don't know, Safeway or Walmart or whoever sells groceries wherever you live. Winco would be the grocery store here.
Sure.
The cheap grocery store. We want to lower those taxes or fees and everything so that they can put a business here. And we also want to, we need to step up policing so that you guys can live in a safe, secure community, not because we hate black people.
Right. And
I think that's a problem too, is that there's just a lot of mistrust. And I think I'm not saying that it's undeserved necessarily, like there's a history there, but I also think that people just need to freaking get over what happened in the past to some degree. I'm not saying that it doesn't matter.
Some of it definitely is recent enough that it's definitely I get it.
Well,
but
you just need to, does holding on to the anger and stuff really help you?
No, it doesn't.
No, not really.
I can see why they don't trust the police. I think a much healthier approach would be, again, talking to these leaders and being like, look, I get why you don't trust the police. But you also need to understand that just getting rid of the police doesn't solve your problem. The vacuum there of authority and power and who's in charge and who says what goes where gets filled by someone. Instead of kicking out the police and leaving it to the gangs to decide all these things, how about we figure out some sort of, I don't know, community recruitment so that it's, black faces, black community members in these areas that are going to be the ones actually policing.
Set up like neighborhood watch systems.
So a more sophisticated neighborhood watch. Yeah, that works. But at least until these communities get on their feet, they need cops all over the place. Like, seriously. It can't just be a fucking wild man's paradise and expect it to go well.
Right. That's what we got here in Portland. No police, and look what's happening.
Yeah, it's not great. Even in nice areas like Portland, it's exactly what happens. You get
nice areas.
I mean, you know what I mean. Like, Portland isn't a poor city. It's
not.
It's not poor. It has plenty of money. It has plenty of resources. It's just that for different reasons entirely, there's no police around. So
depends on what part of the city you live in.
I'm sure.
It's pretty nice, but
I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll just not get on that topic of Portland. We'll be here all night.
Yeah, seriously. Your Oregon episode already happened. We need we need like at least a good month buffer from Oregon news.
We need a Texas episode, and then we'll do like the Pennsylvania episode tonight.
All right.
So yeah, the Democrats they want to hold Attorney General Barr in contempt. So we'll go back to that story. But I just thought it was a question worth asking. Like, should we have a third political party or not? But
long story short, I like the idea of I like the idea of having more political parties, but more people need to vote. Until people are willing to get out and actually vote and at least show up at the polls. And even if they don't vote for anything real, just vote for fucking Mickey Mouse. If we can get, like, 60% of this country just out there voting for fucking Mickey Mouse, then we're ready for a third party. I know that sounds fucking stupid, but the prerequisite is
Mickey Mouse party.
I know it sounds fucking stupid, but the prerequisite seriously is people need to show up at the polls. If they don't, there is no room for a third party. There's just not.
Well, yeah, the people... It's just people have to be willing to make the sacrifice of possibly the party that they belong to losing a few elections because they're moving over to a new party until that party gets up and running. But I don't think the two parties now are so good at making you feel like if they don't win, then the world's coming to an end, essentially.
There's no such thing as a wasted vote as far as I'm concerned. No such thing.
Right.
Every vote does matter. Every vote does get counted. And if there's a lot of excess votes where just hordes of people are voting in weird ways, that will get the politicians' attention. I promise. But
so talking about getting politicians' attentions, that's a weak transition. But we're going to go into the Elizabeth Warren calls for Trump to be impeached.
Oh, yeah, I don't think I have a...
Yeah, I put a YouTube video in there.
I can play the YouTube video if you want.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, we're getting fancy now, boys. Hold up. Oh, shit. Just, okay, this isn't... Alright, maybe not the fanciest. No, this works. Okay. It's playing.
To speak about the investigation into the 2016 presidential election, he triumphantly declared, case closed, Commission won't make it so.
It's so funny watching it because there's the delay.
I read late into the evening on the day it was released and into the next morning. Now, I didn't start reading by expecting to make a statement about it, but I was shaken by the evidence that the
I can't really hear it.
Oh god, this is like a 40-minute video. How do I...
No, we don't need to play the whole thing.
I would need to like forward this on OBS, or not OBS, Discord to make that happen, which I technically could do, but I also wouldn't be able to talk. Huh. Alright, well... How about I just read off the fucking description?
We got the link in the description, so if people want to go watch it, they can.
We do, but it's basically 40 minutes of, as the description says. I can even leave it playing in the background while we talk because it's quiet. So if anyone wants to just watch Elizabeth Warren move,
nope, nobody does. Don't do it.
Too late.
We'll get everybody, all our 49 subscribers will unsubscribe immediately.
They're all just that upset. They're like, "No, fuck this. I'm tired of this crap."
Oh, they just showed Elizabeth Warren for like 30 minutes.
No.
They might actually just die. Or at least pass out.
She should pass out. Oh, that's not nice. That's rude. That's a racism. She's Navajo.
Is it because she's Native American?
Yes, it is.
Or is that not the right word anymore? Is it like tribal American or
who even knows at this
Indian?
point?
Is it Indian again?
Is there a correct term? Is there ever a goddamn
queer
correct
used
term?
to be queer used to be a bad term, and now queer is like a good term again?
Yeah, it's like a popular term now. I don't know.
I just try not to say any of it sometimes.
Just avoid the
Other
whole
times
thing.
I'm just like, fuck it. So basically, she calls. She said that if anyone other than the president did what was in the Mueller report, they'd be put in jail. So they're essentially trying to steal Trump's platform of lock her up. They want to run on that.
Okay. I mean, I feel like that was one of his weaker ones, but
I thought it was hilarious.
No, I mean, but as far as like actually attracting voters, because I feel like pretty much anybody that agreed with that in the first place was probably already voting for Trump. Let's be real.
Yeah. Well, my opinion was always that there should be an investigation, and if she's guilty of a crime, she should be put in jail, and then Trump to show, I guess, magnanimity should pardon her, like Nixon was pardoned.
Sure.
I thought that is what should have happened. That was my opinion at the time.
Look, at the very least, it needs to be the case that if you fuck up, even if you're a president, it's fair play to investigate. That's not unfair. This whole Mueller thing, even though it's all bullshit, clearly, as we saw in his goddamn report, it's not. I don't think it's unfair to investigate. I think it's unfair to keep going. So, yeah.
Right. The report has been released. Everything is available. It's done. Move on.
They don't have
Stop
anything.
trying.
Like, what else do they have right now? Like, what are they going to
they
talk about the
promised-
economy?
They promised their base that they would impeach him. They'd remove him from office. Even a representative from the great state of Texas, Al Green. Do you know this guy?
The name is not familiar. I feel like I should know his name, all things considered.
He's
But
a Democratic representative from Texas.
boo. Boo.
Boo.
Texas.
Boo. He said,
Texas good. This guy bad.
He was on CNN or something. Boo, CNN.
Boo.
He said, quote, "I'm concerned if we don't impeach this president, he will get reelected." If we don't impeach him, he will say he's been vindicated. He will say the Democrats had an overwhelming majority in the House and didn't take up impeachment. He will say he will say we had a constitutional duty, and he will say he's been vindicated. Here's what I say.
Yes.
We're confronting a constitutional crisis as I speak to you. As I look at the people of America in the eye, I'm telling you we have a constitutional crisis. That's what he said.
I agree. Constitution fight. Constitution fight.
Well, this is the Democratic talking point is, or we are in a constitutional crisis. It's like, what? No. Like, what part of the Constitution is in crisis?
I want us to all just get into a giant arena, and we're all going to get constitutions, and we're just going to like bop each other over the head with them until one just stands up.
We're going to put
presumably the youngest senators
in the ring, and they're just going to battle it out.
Just literally two constitutions. Constitution, use harden. It's like fucking Pokemon. It's not very effective. It's a fucking Metapod fight, but with constitutions. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would not be great. That would actually be the worst television
I would watch
in history.
that. Pay-per-view.
That would be the worst television
100%.
in fucking history. God
Go
help
20 rounds.
Oh my God. God help Congress if we ever get elected. Holy shit.
Well, we had to decide to run in the first place.
We would be the biggest dipshits in Congress ever.
We'd be the coolest people in Congress ever.
We'd be having a fucking Metapod fight on the Congress floor.
We'd be playing like Clash Royale, like just sitting in the chamber.
I'm gonna make goo goo eyes.
Can you bring your cell phone in there?
I think so.
No, I'd be making like contemptible eyes because I didn't want to catch the stupid.
Be like, hey AOC, you want to join my clan?
No, she's not allowed.
It's too late. You made me the leader. You made me the leader.
We have hookers and blackjack.
For anyone wondering, that's the name of our Clash Royale clan. Hookers and
we're
blackjack.
just nerds. We're gonna run on the nerd platform.
Dope.
We're nerds.
That's
just
the third
like
party.
you.
That's the third party. The nerds.
We
get
study
sued by the
political
fucking candy
philosophy.
company.
What?
We're gonna
Why?
get sued by we're calling ourselves nerds.
Oh. It was a term before the candy.
That's true. I think their trademark might be in a little bit of danger.
We're not nerds candy because I think that's the technical name. We're just nerds.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not a lawyer, which is why we should be elected to Congress. Because I'm not a freaking lawyer. I'm just
we have no idea what we're talking about. Yeah.
Some jackass on YouTube.
What are you talking about? Jackass is on YouTube make great politicians. Just ask Keemstar.
Well, we'll find out when Sargon gets elected.
If he gets elected. Because that, I don't know.
If he gets
elected. It looks like UKIP is doing kind of bad. So, we'll see.
I haven't really been following it, but I just think all the videos I see are hilarious. So, if anything, it'll at least be entertaining.
The Gibraltar video was really funny.
Right.
Fabian! Fight me, you coward.
I don't know where the Democrats... I think the Democrats decided in 2016 that they're going to push for impeachment as, like, that's the platform they're going to run on. And it seems like...
They're trying to lose. I swear to God they're trying to lose.
It feels like they made a plan, and they're just sticking to that plan, regardless of how anything changes on the ground. They're like, the Mulder, we're gonna have this, we're gonna push for this report, and then the reports, they're gonna do all this finding, and we're gonna be hitting Trump hard and try to get people to hate him, even though his popularity is now going up.
To be fair to the Democrats, it is, like, this is something I've always said, this is a saying that I've always stuck to, and it actually does work. It's better to stick to a bad plan than to switch your plan constantly. So...
Well, you have to know when you're losing.
I mean, yeah, you do have to know when to fold them, but it's not like the Democrats can just pack it in and be like, all right, look, we fucked up, no more Democrats, fuck this place, we're out, peace, kissy faces. Because, I mean, if
Can't they, though? That would be nice.
No, we need more than one political party.
The nerd party. Hello.
Okay, not our bullshit party. But
we're doing this.
We're doing this. Fuck's sake. But
we can't even start a YouTube video on time. So how are we going to start a political party?
Hold on. There were some technical issues. We're working on it.
Yeah, it's fine.
More to the point, I'm working on it. But
yeah, you're like doing all the work, and I'm like, God, man, what are you doing over there?
God damn
Just
it.
being a dick about it.
I'm fucking over here with I've got like 3 different screens open on one monitor trying to figure this shit out. I've had to ghetto rig a fucking control room for anyone listening to this. I've had to completely ghetto rig a control room because I've got a second monitor, but I don't have a second. I actually got 3 monitors, but I don't have a second video card. So I've got 3 monitors and 1 functional one. So yeah,
we'll get there.
We'll get there.
It does look a lot nicer, though, I have to admit.
Oh, you like it?
The layout and everything. Yeah, it looks good, man.
Well, yeah, this is definitely an improvement over Google.
And the video, I was listening to our video, last week's video, and it was pretty smooth.
Good. Well, hopefully now that your internet is also better, it should also be.
Yeah, my internet is super fast now.
Dope.
Or way faster than it was before.
Dude, I fucking told you, your company's throttling the shit out of you. Because there's no way you're on fiber and you're getting 15 down, 5 up. There's no way.
Well, that was all that they were. That was all I was paying for.
I mean, sure, but goddamn, guys, come on.
Yeah, I'm on fiber, but all I was paying for was 15.5. Now I'm at 15. Now I'm at 50/50.
Boo. Anyway, this fucking 50 up is ridiculous. I swear to God, you got a better streaming setup than I do now. This is fucking bullshit. But
yeah, but you're better with OBS than I am. So
that's fair. But
so yeah, back to the Democrats. I don't understand the plan of impeach everybody.
No, that's not going to
don't
work.
stop impeaching until. I mean, because even if they manage to impeach Donald Trump, we get President Mike Pence.
Yeah. I got to admit, that sounds a lot scarier than President Trump.
Well, I don't know. Like, Mike Pence is, I think, probably smarter and more politically capable than Donald Trump. So, yeah, I mean,
that concerns me.
He would be more dangerous, I guess.
Pence probably does make a more sensible choice for president, but we didn't put Trump in to be sensible. Let's be real.
Yeah, that wasn't a big selling point. It was more of a go punch those guys for us.
Yeah, how about everyone in the establishment just goes and fucks themselves? Here's Trump. Hope you enjoy it.
So yeah, speaking about the craziness of the Democrats, we have a Pennsylvania Representative Brian Simms.
Oh baby,
I see you got that all
love me
teed
some
up there.
Brian Simms. Love me some Brian Simms. This is great.
He basically went to a Planned Parenthood where some people were holding a protest, and I wouldn't even necessarily call it a protest. They were just outside of a Planned Parenthood trying to essentially talk people out of getting abortions.
Pretty standard, yeah. Pretty standard.
And there was like 4 people there, and they all looked fairly like unassuming, and there were 3 of them were like teenage girls.
Well, why don't we go ahead this is only 48 seconds, so why don't we just watch this video real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You might have to pull it up on your side, because there's still going to be a 10-second delay. Maybe I should cut down the delay.
Yeah, that'd probably be a good idea.
Maybe to like 3 seconds or something. But anyway, all right. So, okay, and I'm playing it now.
Actually,
we can just talk about it if the video doesn't play.
We can talk about this. We can talk about your Christian faith, about how your Christian faith believes in shaming people, about how your Christian faith believes in telling people that you know what's right for their bodies, about how your Christian faith tells you that you know what's right for their families.
Shame
on you.
Democratic.
Shame on you. No. The same rights that allow you to be out here allow me to be out here. Shame on you. You have a problem protesting in public? Don't protest in public. If you know who this woman is, and if you can give me her address, we'll protest out in front of her home. Let's go protest out in front of her house and tell her what's right for her body. Please call the cops. Tell them Representative Brian Simms is standing in his district telling somebody that using the rights that they're using to protest women coming into Planned Parenthood is disgusting and it's wrong and it's shameful.
Jesus Christ, he's literally just harassing her.
I know, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's barely acceptable for a fucking rando. I mean, it's not good behavior for someone to come up and do that, but at least if it's a normal protest, I expect this sort of shit. But I don't know, when it's like a representative, especially for the district that he's that just seems a little more fucked up.
Yeah, he's way more aggressive than he needs, and it's like
once he starts talking about let's get her address, I'm just like, all right, dude, you lost me.
Well, that was only one part of the video. There's another.
I'm sure there is.
Video
I heard about that. Something about like him berating some like teenager.
Yeah, there was like he said something to the effect of, "I'll offer anybody $100 if they can give me the names of these people," and then he called them like white Christians. So like they're bad people because they're white and Christian, and one of the girls wasn't even white. I don't know what she was, but yeah, like, but
why
does it even care? Like, oh, it would be okay if they were black Muslims out there.
Yeah,
like, that'd be cool.
Seriously, Asian atheists are the only ones allowed to protest outside of Planned Parenthood. Like this.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, so unless you're Asian,
apparently
and
that's
atheist,
the law in Pennsylvania.
Yes, Pennsylvania is very specific. Only Asian atheists.
Well, this is the kind of politician, because if you see a picture of him, I'd say he's like a handsome looking guy, but he's just so, I don't know, he's just so aggressive. And not that there's anything wrong with being assertive, but he's too assertive. Yeah, like he's just in their face harassing them. There's a certain point where it's not you're not protesting, because I think
assertive and then there's asking for doxes.
Well, yeah, that there's a certain segment of people that say, well, I'm protesting, that gives them license to do whatever they want.
Right.
Because they have a right to protest, a quote unquote right to protest.
Right.
It's like, no, you have a right to protest, but you don't have a right to harass people because you don't like what they're doing. Like you don't like Antifa flooded a lawyer's office because he was representing ICE. That's not protest. That's vandalism. Like there's a line. There's a certain line. And I don't think the whole blaring loud music to drown people out is protest either. I think that's harassment.
Yeah, I think there's a lesson in this whole thing. If you happen to be in a political alignment that doesn't fall in line with what teenagers like, you might want to put your office inside of like a bank building or somewhere with security or something like that where they can't just stick a fucking garden hose.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't have to worry about that shit. You
shouldn't have to, but let's be real. Teenagers are fucking stupid. They do stupid shit. So
this wasn't. I don't think this was teenagers. This was Antifa.
What's the difference?
The number of years that they've existed on this planet.
Fair enough.
They're probably closer to like 20.
All right.
Than
13. But, all right, look. Up to 19, you're still a teenager. Still technically a teenager.
Sure.
They're really close to being teenagers. But
this is
whatever.
Like,
you get my point.
This was in Portland. We have a bar that's like an Antifa bar, essentially.
You have an Antifa bar?
Yeah.
Dude, I kind of want to go.
Well, you could probably go and be fine. Unless they know who you are or that you're like say the wrong things or do the wrong, or you try to film something.
Dude, I'm just going to walk in there. I've got the perfect disguise. I'm going to wear like a Che Guevara t-shirt, smoking a doobie. I'm just going to walk in there or like bust open the door. Capitalism fucking sucks. Am I right? Now give me some whiskey. I was just slapping around some capitalists 10 seconds ago. I need a drink.
Could you imagine walking into a bar and seeing people dressed in all black and masks, just hanging out, drinking, carrying like cans of bear mace?
Dude, in my head, the fucking ISIS theme song would be playing.
Right? It's like, don't go to that bar.
Do they normally show up like fully black blocked to the bar?
Well, this time, it was recently on the news, so they were there in their black block gear, and then Joey Gibson decided to go.
All right, so here's the new plan. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get an RC car, right? We're gonna strap a GoPro to it. We're gonna just open the door and let the car go ham. And
well, they have
what's going on.
Outdoor seating. You can just see them.
They have outdoor seating? This Antifa bar actually sounds kind of nice.
Well, it's a bar in Portland, and it's like 90 degrees here, so you can sit outside now.
Why would you want to sit outside in 90 degrees?
In all black? Well, it wasn't. The day this happened, it wasn't like that. But
that day, they're just sitting there in their normal clothes, sipping tea.
Well, it was evening, so it was starting to cool off, I guess.
I don't know.
It's nice to sit outside after dark.
Yeah, after dark, sure. But like when the sun's going down, that's like almost at its hottest, where it's like muggy too.
Yeah. So this Pennsylvania representative, there was another scene where he harassed these three young girls, and I'm guessing their adult chaperone or somebody. I don't know. The adult, she tried to talk to him, but he was just essentially being super belligerent. Well, you guys heard. And then there was a guy there. I saw the video of this guy, and he was just this kind of unassuming, quiet little guy, and he comes over and he's like, "What's your name?" And the guy just fucking tells him, he's just like, "Oh, this is my name." He's like, "Well, where do you live?" And he just tells him his address.
Oh God!
Does not give any fucks. He was just like, they didn't. The video I saw, they cut that part out.
Good.
So
good.
I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't know if he posted it.
At least fucking bleep it.
Well, I think it was on the Daily Wire, maybe, that I saw it, or
Dude, something tells me that this bastard would totally just post up his address.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, 100%. Because he was saying, "I'm going to go to your house and protest. I'm going to protest at your
the old
house."
lady he was, yeah.
And so, like, to me, that's like a private like to protest at like a Planned Parenthood or like a public building, like a Walmart or something. It's totally fine as long as you're not harassing people. We had this problem when I worked at Target of people like standing in front of the door trying to get people to sign petitions for laws, and we told them you have to go stand on the sidewalk. You can't do it on our property, because we had customers that were complaining about it.
Yeah.
Like they didn't like being harassed by these people. And so there are limits. And this guy, like going to a private residence.
Yeah. Yeah,
also,
telling
I
a
think,
bunch of like activists where someone they don't like specifically lives may be a bad idea. Might be a bad idea.
Trying, I guess, is a bad word. I've been interested in the idea of getting some sort of like emails or some sort of something that links elected Democratic representatives to groups like Antifa.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been wondering if there is like a link. Like, do they say, okay, like go protest these people because it'll help us out here or whatever?
I mean, we'd have to have some sort of like actual email.
Right. I'm not saying that's the case. I suspect it in some instances. But I don't have proof, so I'm not going to throw around spurious allegations.
Yeah, man, if you can convince some hackers to go look at it, maybe they can find something.
All right.
But...
All right, Russia, if you can get there.
You're asking Russia for fucking help. Jesus Christ.
No hacking. I don't want to do it illegally. I want like a whistleblower to come forward, something like that.
You think anybody
if you're in the Democratic
Antifa...
Party and you're tired of this bullshit, come forward. Come talk to me. I'm interested. I don't have a big audience, but
we'll do something.
Right, yeah. We'll put it on here, and then we'll get a big audience that way. But I'll put it on my blog, and then we can share it all over the place. If it's interesting, if it's good, friggin' good news, it'll get picked up, you know.
True. It would be nice if we could get something like that to break a story. That'd be cool.
That would be really cool, but we got to do a little more work.
We do. We're almost ready. We still need to figure out our layout a little bit, because I feel like we can do better than police tape, because we still need to figure out our avatars and everything. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, we'll get close. There must be something in the water in Pennsylvania, because there's a lot of hate going around. So
something in the fucking water.
Right, like this video with these Muslim kids singing about beheading people. Did you watch? I shared that with you, so I'm guessing you watched it.
Yeah, I did. I actually already closed that window because I thought we were running out of time, but...
Oh, darn.
We can still talk about it, but...
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to play the video. If people want to find it, the link is in the description below. But I understand... Like, I was trying to understand how could this be okay in some way? Like, let's say they were just singing the national anthem and it's just, you know, a little gory or a little violent, because sometimes national anthems are that way.
Yeah.
Could not make that that jump. This seemed pretty anti-Semitic and violent, and these are children, and they just seem to be like singing this like it's normal, like everyday stuff. Like, I think if you, even as a kid, if you told me, okay, we're going to start singing about beheading people and and whatnot, I'd be like, well, wait a minute, like that seems a little weird. Even as a kid, I think I would have.
Yeah, it's like yesterday you were like showing me the giving tree, and today we're fucking learning about how to behead people.
Right, like yesterday I was watching Sesame Street and Elmo said love everybody, and now you want me to behead people? What the fuck is going on?
No, it's okay. They're not people.
Right, I forgot.
That's why it's okay, Muhammad.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not trying to say that, all Muslims think this. I'm not saying that by any means. But there is this strain of anti-Semitism within
obviously,
Islam.
watch the fucking video. Obviously there is. I mean, there's like strains of that in most communities, in my experience. But like, I haven't ever heard of even the word. I've never heard of the alt-right fucking making a video where they're like, we're gonna go behead the Jews. It's gonna be great. It doesn't happen. Or maybe it does, and I just don't pay attention to what the alt-right's doing. But still,
right? Yeah, doesn't come up in my news feed, man.
Yeah, I don't watch enough. I don't read enough Daily Stormer for that to affect my life.
They've all been banned. I thought that site was taken down by
the site came back. Last I looked. That's Clash of Clans or Clash Royale.
But I think even as a kid, I would have thought this was weird. And I was into playing video games, man, where like you fight people and there's blood and you're shooting other people and stuff like that. But there's like that's not real. Like this, I'm not saying that this is necessarily something that they're going to go do, but it just seems a little much to have children sing about this sort of thing.
Just a bit, huh? Just a little bit.
And then you get people like Ilhan Omar, who's an elected representative, like I said before, I hate saying like, her rhetoric or Donald Trump's rhetoric inspired this sort of thing, because I don't really think most regular people pay that much attention to politics for it to really inspire this sort of thing. I think they already have these opinions and they already share them. But now with social media and everybody essentially having a video camera in their pocket, they just get posted online now. But this was posted by them. Like, they posted this online, and the school took it down and said that there will be an investigation or something along those lines. The usual line. But I just don't think anything's gonna, like, how did this go on? Like, how long has this been going on, and how did they?
I mean, presumably not even that long, because they posted up proudly. So I don't know.
Right, that means that there's somebody there who was like, yeah, this isn't a bad thing. And it could just be one person, but I don't know, man. Like, I hate it when people try to say, like this one Republican, how could you have this one Republican say this thing? And I'm like, well, to me, that's a little different with like that Republican who said something like, well, I don't see why white nationalism's so bad. Because there's not really a hiring process in order to get into a political party. To get elected, there is, but
yeah, just to be a politician, there's very few prerequisites there.
To just become a member of a party, you just have to. In Oregon, you can just go online and sign up. That's it. That's all it takes. Bam, you're a Democrat or a Republican or Libertarian or whatever. So I don't like subscribing these sort of like policies across the broad spectrum, but this was like a school, and this was like a play, and so there had to be more than just one adult involved in setting up this, because there was like singing and they were dancing and
This
they
fucking
dressed
choreography,
up.
and yeah.
People are watching this, so it's not like, and no one's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are you teaching my children to say this sort of stuff?
Yeah, seriously.
Like, is this the question for me is this a normal thing? Is this something that normally goes on? Is it so normal that people don't think about it? Or is this an outlier?
I don't know. Like, there's sort of going to be a theme with this one just because, like, we only have one data point from this group.
Yeah.
It's one time that something really, really weird happened. I mean, for all we know, maybe this is some fucking Muslim shitposting group, you know? For all we know, because I know that sounds far-fetched, but I was literally just watching a video earlier today about an entire shitpost group that literally posts things to YouTube about, like, monkey torture, intentionally to get people to get triggered about it and share it, and then they get to laugh about it. So, it wouldn't...
Weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Shitposting communities are weird. I don't know if this is, like, the Muslim version of that. I doubt it, but I mean, like, what I'm saying is there's context here we don't have, and I don't want to... They haven't actually hurt anyone, so...
Well, in the story, they talk about, like, this being part of a school, like a school group or something, sort of. So there's, like, mention. This isn't just like, oh, this video was online and these students were just doing it at somebody's house or whatever. It was
True.
This was like there's a school associated with it, and the school, I think they fired the director of this program or whatever.
Good.
Or
Good.
at least put him on leave.
Oh, God. Okay, so he's coming back in 20 minutes.
Once we all look away, you know.
Right.
Once the eye of Sauron looks away.
That's actually a pretty accurate way to describe social media.
I know, right? Fucking scary as hell. The eye of Sauron looks on you, and a horde of orcs just come out.
Seriously. It kind of be like that, though.
Social media mob.
It's terrifying. Makes me want to go hide in my bed.
Nah, you can't be afraid of it, man. You just gotta embrace the fact that, one, you gotta try to say what you believe to be true and what you believe to be honest and good, and then you have to just embrace the idea that liberty doesn't mean security.
That's true. The monsters under my bed would definitely call me a little bitch if I tried to hide down there with them.
Yeah, man. Don't do that.
If you're getting called a little bitch by the guy that's been hiding under your bed for 20 years, like, man.
Well, that's that is something that I realized. Well, I heard it from, like, Jordan Peterson was making a point about free speech.
Okay.
And then I started thinking about, like, the concept in a broader sense.
Sure.
But his point was, like, well, he was talking about free speech. He's like, well, let's address it directly. Like, it's not safe to exercise free speech. Like, if you say something controversial because you have free speech, you're not always going to be safe saying those things. You're going to make some people mad. It's not safe.
True.
So, like, what do? Do you just not say those things to be safe? Well, what price do you pay for not telling the truth or not holding your principles? And so, you know,
it's definitely more fun to say what you think.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's also dangerous. Like, liberty has an inherent danger to it in that you have to give up a certain amount of security in order to have liberty.
True.
And I don't mean like, I don't think, to me, there's a difference between liberty and freedom, I guess. And not even freedom. It's just when people hear the words like liberty and freedom, they just think no rules. They think the ultimate expression of that is anarchy. And I don't see that as the ultimate expression of liberty or freedom. To me, like anarchy is a form of tyranny, in my opinion.
Yeah, I say that's probably pretty accurate.
It's like a tyranny of the ruthless. Those who are willing to do anything will get everything.
Well, yeah, there's a reason we have rules.
Right. And so I do think that we do need rules in place, like a certain number of rules to help maximize the most amount of freedom for everybody. And to me, that's when I say liberty, that's what I mean. Anyway, that's a more philosophical discussion that we can have at another point, because we are almost at 9
I was about
o'clock.
to say, when we're not 2 hours in, that is definitely not a end of the show discussion.
Nope. I think we hit all the stories. We got to the two
Mm-hmm.
we didn't know if we'd have time to, so we got to all the ones we outlined. Unless you have anything, I think we'll wrap it up.
No, I'm good, man.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing and liking our show. And we appreciate everyone for tuning in and commenting and sharing. So
Fuck that. I don't. Fucking, nah. Screw you guys. Subscribe, share, like, or I'll punch you in the throat. And that's just the way it is. I'm stealing that from Philip DeFranco now.
We're just going to go into the direct subscriber.
If you do not do what I say, I abuse my subscribers. Yes.
There you go. They like, some of them like it. But honestly, thank you guys. I don't know if there's anybody watching currently, but thank you for watching now or later or whenever.